From the 23rd to the 27th of May 2016, 193 UN member states convened at the UNEP headquarters to discuss matters environment. Just how far are we as a country, and what is the debate that is surrounding matters environment? That is what is taking precedence tonight on the Newsroom agenda. At this Marabuya, at KTS Kenya, at Anthony Ngura G, hashtag Let's Talk Environment. That is the conversation that is taking precedence tonight. Here in the studio today, I'm glad to be joined by two people very passionate about matters environment, and glad to be joined by Daisy Wanjiru. You like being called D? That's not your name. Daisy Wanjiru, welcome to the program. This man, Anthony Ngura G, the Environment Ambassador of Environment 254. Karibu.
Yes, asante.
Let's start it from this rational point of view. Let's talk about matters environment in this country now. Ladies first?
Yes.
No, this we can always break the rules. Let's talk about matters environment. This country, where we've been, where we are heading to, and take it over.
So, like what you're saying, my name is Anthony Ngure. In terms of environment, Kenya, we are doing great. Recently, we were the country that hosted the UNEP meeting, the United Nations Environmental Assembly. Then the other thing is that currently, Kenya, we have a bill concerning the climate change. We have a bill. And then the other thing, it's about the Paris Agreement, which took place last year in December 2015. So Kenya, in terms of the agreement, we have done what we are supposed to do. So in terms of environment, Kenya, so far, so good, we have done well, but we also have some challenges that normally bring us down.
I think we are coming there. I don't want to manipulate Daisy's point of view on this. What do you think of this journey to deal with matters environment, Daisy particularly?
So far, it has been good, but there's still some work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done on the part of Kenya. Yes.
And recently we had the UNEP meeting. Were you there?
Yes, I was present.
You were present. I don't know. Okay, let me get back to my good ambassador of Environment 254. We had a lot of things that were discussed actually during the UNEP summit at the UNEP headquarters, and some of them, okay, basically all of them bringing to a viewpoint that the environment needs to be catered for in a more how do I put this, in a more modernized way. And just how realistic are some of the things that were discussed during the UNEP meeting?
So regarding the UNEP meeting, so like what you said, we realize that there is challenge in terms of if we continue the way we are doing, if we continue business as usual, there will be a catastrophe that will happen. So what UNEP meeting was all talking about is we need to change our way. We need to change the way we do things. There is need for inclusion of environment. There is also need for social inclusion in terms of each and every development. And with those inclusion, that one is simply just to talk about sustainable development. So UNEP meeting was all about sustainable development. Yeah, so some of the issues that were raised there during the UNEP meeting, I was there as a youth representative. Some of the things that were raised there was the issue about air pollution, the effects that air pollution has to our health. The other issue that were raised was about waste management, the way we manage our waste. There has been increase in terms of the total amount of waste that it is normally received, and we need to improve the way that we manage our waste. The other thing was also about the marine litter. There's been a lot of issues that have been raised in terms of marine litter. And the disadvantage of marine litter is that it poses a serious threat to our fisheries. Yeah, so those were
someone told me by 2030 we could be having more plastic than fish in the oceans. I don't know. Just an opinion, you know. Some of these things.
It could be. It could be a possibility.
You agree?
Yes.
I think that's why we bring you in. Why?
Because 100% of people are to some extent aware of environment issues, but let's say only 1% act on it. The remaining 89% are ignorant and arrogant. They'll be told, don't do this, this leads to that. They go marching, having placards and everything. And then immediately after they exit the marching, they're the first people, they leave the placards on the floor, they throw plastics in the water. So yes, it can be a possibility of having more plastic than marine life in general.
Ambassador,
Yes.
you agree with that?
To me, if we don't change the way we are doing things, we are going to pose a serious threat to our fisheries.
Is that your way of agreeing that if everything is not in order, then we will have more plastics than fish in the oceans?
That one can be a possibility, depending on the way we normally generate our waste. There's been an increase in terms of...
I think it is important for us, first of all, to agree on this.
Yes,
is it possible? Is it your way of agreeing that we could be having more plastics than fish in the water by 2030?
No, I don't think we can be having more plastic than fish by 2030. Yeah.
But by 2050?
Probably if we continue business as usual.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, probably if we continue business as usual. But the major challenge about the marine litter is that at times you find maybe the plastic that you normally use, due to the process that it normally undertakes a lot of years for it to fully decompose. As a result of that, most of it normally, maybe it ends up in our soil or maybe into our seas. Then at times, you find that fish, it's able to confuse the plastic with the food, the normal food, the phytoplanktons. Then the challenge is that when fish eats that plastics, then you know what will be the effect that will be generated from them.
And is it just necessarily, are these effects just to do with fish taking plastic, or we have more adverse effects of our oceans, our waters being littered? Does it go beyond just the fish taking the plastic?
The reason as to why the fish taking the plastic is a critical issue is because there is the economic part of it, whereby there are guys who normally rely on fishing in terms of payment of their school fees, their day-to-day basic requirement. And then the other thing is that when you take that fish that ate the plastic, the process of the formation of the plastic, the way a lot of chemicals are normally used in the process. So there is a possibility that it will get back into your system. And when it comes back to your system, obviously, there must be some health concern. You might find yourself maybe being affected with issues of maybe cancer. That's why we really need to be serious about environmental issues, because there is a close link between environment and our health.
I think let me get into this point and ask Daisy, what should we do? Because at the end of the day, we must dispose the plastics. I believe at the end of the day, these things must be disposed.
Not necessarily. Not all plastic needs to be disposed. There is reusing them. Like you buy a bottle of Coke today, you can use it as a water bottle tomorrow instead of going and buying another water bottle. You can decide to refill the water in your house instead of keep on buying clean water. Okay, the packed water every now and then. And as for disposing, only dispose only when it's necessary. And there are these forums where people are being educated on how to separate their waste from the biodegradable to the plastics, then the glasses. So yes, if every household knows how to do that, it even makes work easier for the garbage people. Yes, there are certain companies. There's one I know that was pioneered by a student currently in Strathmore. It deals with the separation of garbage. Yes, so they know what to do with it. And once you...
The name maybe?
It doesn't ring a bell, but you can Google. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is I think it's a very, very plausible option for disposal. where you educate the public on the importance of separating before disposal, because and also before you dispose, you ask yourself, does this really need to be disposed? Like if I go for shopping today, I can still use that paper to go to a mamboga and do my organic shopping with it. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that I'll have to go to a mamboga again and then I buy more plastic bags.
There was a debate to eradicate plastic bags.
Yes.
So that we are also not talking about necessarily having the plastic bag for some other use. There was a debate going around about eradicating plastic bags, and actually major supermarkets in the country had started using some fiber-made
Eco bags.
Eco-friendly bags.
Exactly. Has that come into your debates as ambassadors of the environment and the debate that surrounds it?
Yeah, there was a time I was in Nakuru, because the debate of plastic ban, it began in Nakuru, whereby lobbies from Nakuru, they wanted the ban of plastic. But some of the questions that were raised is, in the plastic industry, it has employed a lot of guys. A lot of people have been employed from the plastic industry, and as a result of that, the plastic industry normally generates a lot of revenue to the country in terms of that. So there's been a lot of debate regarding it. But what I can probably say, we can just use the example of Rwanda. In Rwanda, they have currently banned all their plastic. So to me, what I think is that we really have to be more visionary, because the challenge that plastic normally poses to our health, it cannot be compared to the financial benefit that we get from the plastic in terms of the economy. Yeah.
And maybe Daisy, can I call you my learned friend or a legal counsel, or why should I call you? Let's just a critical point of view here. What should come first? Is it because the company has actually employed a number of people, or what is required for the country? What is required there? What you told me earlier on off camera, affirmative action. What should come first?
Okay, as per my knowledge, industries have evolved. We've seen industries evolving from the moment industrialization began in the society generally. It has evolved. So what I don't understand is, why don't these factories manufacturing plastic bags, they could also evolve and now start manufacturing eco bags? People will still keep their jobs and they'll still have product to sell to the community. Only now it's product that is eco-friendly, that is more sustainable health-wise and more so economically.
And why is that not happening? Maybe just from your point of view again.
Lack of proper education. Yes, that's to my view. Education doesn't necessarily mean going to school, but there is also general information out there. People are ignorant to. What people believe in is, if it doesn't affect me directly, if it doesn't affect my hustle, well then there is no need for me knowing it. There are people who that should be their problem. But at the end of the day, this is your problem, it is my problem, it is our problem. So yes, education and interest in actually getting to know these facts. What does this do? What does this do? Yes.
Haven't you had that conversation? Haven't you had that conversation? Like we actually, or rather basically, we can make a ground rule, or rather a ground observation, that these companies that produce plastics, that manufacture plastics, can't they manufacture eco-friendly bags?
I really think
people will keep their jobs, Daisy says.
Yeah, but I really think what is really lacking is that political goodwill. Political goodwill is lacking. And then the other thing, like what my friend talked about, awareness. One thing that I believe is that with awareness comes motivation. If you're able to look at this thing from a systemic view, from a holistic view, that you'll come to realize that there is a lot of challenges that it is posed to this plastic that we normally use. We can keep on talking about that bit of recycling, but recycling will not solve the whole of that problem. So one thing is that with motivation, with awareness will come motivation. Then with motivation, guys will be aware that if I use this plastic, this one's will be the repercussion. So the first thing that we should start with is that bit of raising awareness, whereby we educate people about what is the challenges of you using that plastic. What is the challenge of you burning that plastic? What are some of the emissions that are normally released when you burn that plastic? Where do you normally dispose your plastic? Is there any likelihood that your plastic might end up into your ocean, threatening the fish which are...
You have really insisted on that matter of fish, my friend. How often do you take fish? You're watching the Newsroom Agenda at this Manabuya, at Anthony Ngure G, at KTS Kenya. Hashtag Let's Talk Environment. Keep the conversation going on Twitter. And also, you can send us a text message on the number at the top of your screen. This is a short break we're taking, but when we come back, there's more to the environmental debate.
Picha linaanza sharata, picha linaanza shawaka, picha linaanza shachanganyikiwa, picha linaanza sharata.
Ndo show inayotisha, ndo show inayovuruga mji kwa vibao vikali vya ndani na nje ya East Africa. Kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 4 hadi saa 5:30 ikiletwa kwenu na your countdown MC art presenter Ali mtoto wa mjini, yani ndo habari ya mjini. It's a date.
Natamani nikaseme na yaman.
You're watching the Newsroom Agenda. Hashtag Let's Talk Environment with Anthony Ngure G. That's on Twitter at Anthony Ngure G, at this man of Buya, capital T, capital M, capital O, at KTS Kenya. And of course, maintain the hashtag Let's Talk Environment. The SMSs, your views are also coming in on the SMS line at the top of your screen. This is KTS that you're watching. My name is Brana Buya. Now, Anthony.
Yes.
Let me promise you're not going to talk about the fish again. You're not from the lakes.
Yeah, I promise I will not talk about it. But it is a critical issue.
Yeah, necessarily so. Let's now bring this question even closer home. On matters environment, we have a number of vehicles on the roads, and actually a friend of mine tells me that the number of vehicles on our roads is really ballooning. And we also have, like she had mentioned earlier on, we have companies that have the obligation, rather, the garbage teams, but we find this garbage in town. We find this garbage in areas it's not expected to be. What's going on? What is the conversation like on that?
Yeah, because one thing I know, just to talk about the issue of garbage, we have our waste management regulation, and we also have MCA. One thing that normally states is that there are specific licensed landfills or specific areas whereby guys are supposed to dispose their waste, and also there are the various trucks that are normally used for collecting waste. They are specific that those trucks, they are supposed to have a specific license for collecting the waste. I think that the challenge concerning the disposal, I think it's because of most of those trucks, you find that there is no any specific monitoring system. Because I believe that if you had a monitoring system that could be monitoring these trucks in terms of to ensure that they dispose their waste to their designated landfill, I think we can get rid of that challenge.
We can get rid of that challenge.
Yeah.
But my question is, what exactly is wrong, or rather, okay, let me come to Daisy. You're always very good with opinions, your viewpoints. Now let me know what you think is the problem, because we have these trucks that collect garbage, and I believe even the house owners pay for that garbage to be collected. You earlier on said that we should have separation of garbage before it is collected. A number of homes are doing that, but when it is picked up by the garbage team, we are finding this garbage actually accumulating in areas, or rather dropped off in areas it shouldn't be. In your own understanding, what's wrong?
First, thank you. I'm not sure if me being a person of opinion is a good thing or a bad thing. But in my opinion is you start by asking yourself, do the garbage collectors have the relevant education in terms of garbage separation? If they do, are their supervisors lacking? Are they lax at their work, or are they being bribed, or are they negligent in supervising, in checking that the work is being done properly? Are these garbage collectors being paid for doing zero work? Just because garbage has gotten out of your home doesn't mean that it's being properly taken care of. And then you have to ask yourselves, what about these authorities? Let's start with the counties. These counties, what measures are they taking to see that the garbage in their counties are being properly disposed? Because the county that my home county is doing a really shoddy job. Yes, Bwana Governor, you're doing a shoddy job in garbage disposal, because I can't get how
What is your home county?
man will get to that after I finish this statement.
Okay.
I can't get how a man with sound mind can watch garbage being disposed near where children live, where children play. And these are children below the age of 5. Every day he's being told the children there are dying of sicknesses related to garbage, but he's just lax. He's looking at the other side. He cleans the beginning of the town, the outside appearance, but he goes and dumps it at the back of the town, more so where the shanties are. So you get people blaming the shanties for the improper disposal, but it's actually on the county level. So after checking the county level, now go check these organizations, these state bodies that have been entrusted to check on environmental issues, NEMA and the whatnot. What are they doing? Are they being paid there to keep their mouths shut, or are they actually doing something? Yes. And my county is Kajiado. Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Let me now bring this now to my home county, Nairobi. I know we all come from Nairobi. At some point you come from Nairobi.
I've never come from Nairobi. I just passed through Nairobi.
Okay, that's even better, because when you pass through Nairobi, that's even better, because you get to walk more than some of us around town. You've walked in our streets.
Yes.
Nyati Lane, just down here somewhere, Kirinyaga Road. A number of other lanes, I'm forgetting their names, to the far end. And you realize that those lanes are really, really dirty. We've had TV features done on the dirt in Nairobi. And the governor said that he did not, actually, just how true is this? Let me come back to you. How true is this? The governor said that I did not make Nairobi dirty. It's the Nairobians who did.
The governor made Nairobi dirty by not supervising or creating proper channels for proper disposal. So if he is saying the Nairobians made him dirty, Bwana Governor, you have failed at your job, you are going home.
Not exactly.
But also the other thing that I can talk about is we really need to be environmental consciousness, because one thing that I believe is that when it comes to issues of environment, it normally begins from I.
So Nairobians made Nairobi dirty.
Okay.
Okay, for the very first time I agree with that statement also.
Yeah, but still, we have bins everywhere, right? You cannot say that it's Nairobians who went and actually, you can't say it's Nairobians that who go every day and put trash there, You can't check it like that. You have to sit down and see, do you know where your trash from Nairobi goes and gets disposed? And do not say Dandora. Do you know actually where that truck goes to? Ikitoka kwako kwa nyumba. Do you know where it goes to?
I don't know.
Exactly.
And then the other thing that I really think we have dwelt, yes, I really understand there is that problem of the waste. But I really think the most important discussion could be what are some of the solutions that you can amend. Because one thing, there is the county.
But
I
I still believe we need to know where the problem is coming from before we actually even get to the solution.
Yes, that is what I'm trying to tackle.
Because when the governor says that it is Nairobians who made Nairobi dirty, yes, the dirt does not come from the governor's home.
Exactly.
However,
Exactly.
Oh, wait, you want to tell me so the governor has no dirt? That is what the governor wants to tell us. He has no trash, no dirt in his house.
okay.
No, like
Okay,
what
we're not having that conversation.
Like what I was trying to say, we really need to come up with a solution regarding this thing, because my area of interest has always been in waste management. I'm really passionate about waste management. So what I was thinking is that, because there is the county that involved in collecting waste, and also there is the private companies which are involved in collecting waste. So we are not yet sure. Maybe when you go somewhere you find a heap of dirt, who normally dispose that waste there. But one thing that we are sure is that most of the times that waste is from a truck. So what I can suggest is, like what I said earlier, we have a proposal and we have a concept note about a monitoring system, whereby we can install a monitoring system on those trucks that are normally used to collect waste in such a way that if you are able to dispose that waste somewhere, it is able to alert the authority, maybe the NEMA or even the county government. So one thing that I believe is that we will have solved that issue in terms of waste being disposed on the road. We will have solved that issue. And then the other thing that we can talk about is, maybe back in my home, we used to collect waste. Is normally they normally come and collect waste on Saturdays. But at times you find that maybe the bin is overfull, or maybe at times it is half empty. What if we had a real-time monitoring system that could be monitoring the filling level of the bins in such a way that if the bin is 85% full, it is able to communicate to the guys in charge of collecting in such a way that they can come and collect the waste. So those are some of the things that I think we should be talking about in terms of issue. Because one thing I believe is that we as the youth, we should be offering solution to the various challenges that we normally face.
Okay, and Anthony, yes, it's good for the monitoring system and all that, but sure, the problem with waste disposal comes at the point where after it has left your house, where has it gone to? There is where the problem is. Where has it gone to?
Like
which I think is no longer the problem of the owner.
Exactly.
Which
The homestead.
actually should be. It should be the problem of the owner.
For me to know
You
if
just-
after the dirt leaves my house, where
Yeah,
it
you
goes.
just can't pay 50 bob, 100 or 200 bob, and you just say that is that. Nimeka chini, I have no idea. That is not my work. There are people whose job is to handle that. No. Collective responsibility belongs to you. It starts with you. Starts with you and me. I have to know, where is my waste going to? Is my waste going to be dumped near a children's playground? Is my waste going to be dumped next to a school? Where is it really going to? What are they doing with it? Are they there to just launder my money, clean my home, but destroy the environment? Or at the end of the day, are they actually doing something worth? Am I actually paying for service, or am I actually paying for the distraction? That's what you should ask yourself.
And I believe maybe that message is getting out there, and simply because time is not really on our side and we really have to end this program. But not before we actually discuss that the World Environment Day is here. And I want us to combine this segment of discussion with what people should actually learn to do. And the World Environment Day is here. Let me know, Anthony, maybe in the shortest time possible for this segment,
Yes.
what should we expect? Apart from people carrying very long banners and walking in our streets saying that it's World Environment Day and continuing to campaign for a cleaner and a better environment, what are some of the things that people should actually get to know? Because you said that with awareness comes motivation.
Yeah. So I really like your question, because from long time ago we have only been talking about environment, but action was lacking. So what I would like to encourage guys in the World Environment Day, which is on 5th June, is that it is the high time we take action. Even if it is that tree that you plant, that one is an action that you have done. Like from my perspective in Environment 254, we will be having an activity whereby we will be going to Narok, whereby we are planning to plant close to 10,000 trees on that specific day.
Daisy, you think there's anything that we have environment clubs in the different universities, we have beauty pageants. What do these beauty pageants do?
Yes. I believe that the good thing with the beauty pageant is that it's all about fashion. But currently there's a specific trend that is coming whereby we talk about ethical, whereby we talk about eco fashions. How was your clothes produced? Was it sustainably produced in such a way that were the guys involved in the production of your clothes, were they well paid? So that is all about ethical. And then the other thing about fashion, the other thing about the beauty pageant is that, like what I can say from Miss Environment Kenya, what we normally do is that we encourage the models to encourage the spirit of recycling, whereby we encourage them to make clothes out of plastic. We encourage them to make clothes out of the polythene. We are just trying to bring a concept known as upcycling.
Right, let me come back to Daisy and get to understand. I was talking about the environmental clubs in the different universities, high schools. I know you've been hearing about these. And you think there's something that the Kenyan youth need to do about the environment that they're not being told? Or you think there are things that all these groups, including that which Anthony is a member, the Environment 254, and he is actually an ambassador of the same. Do you think there's something that is not being done? Because we can't be having the same debate daily.
Okay, technically, I know most clubs in high school, their major. Okay, I went to a normal Kenyan high school. I don't know. Okay, and we all know 844 clubs are there for funkies, so they're not there for the educational part of it. So what I'll do is you start educating people from ground zero. That child, once they start saying their first words, once they can understand what is right from wrong, you start teaching them about the economy and the environment and stuff. Because technically, the current breed as it is hard to go and teach an old dog new tricks. It is difficult for you to go and tell an old man somewhere, you're not supposed to be throwing things anyhowly, but it is easier to start bring up a generation of responsible people. So yeah, you should start. I think that is the one of the major remedies I'd recommend. Start teaching the current new generation, the ones between age 0 upwards. You start teaching them from that point, and you lead by example. You don't tell them don't throw, and then they see mom and dad, they just took that coke. No, you teach them, you own up to your words. As for the clubs in schools, I believe they should only be admitting people who are actually serious about the cause being appropriated by the clubs, because we can't have an environmental club that doesn't do anything with the environment.
Oh.
Yes.
Right, we are bringing this to a close. Any final words about this, maybe from Anthony in just like 30 seconds?
So my final words will be to all Kenyans. It is the high time that we start taking environmental issues seriously, because if we don't include environment in our development, it will reverse all what we have worked for. So it's all about sustainable development. And the other thing that I can talk about, it's all about when it comes to issues of environment, we should view it from a personal perspective in terms of our lifestyle. How is it that we live? In terms of our footprint, how is our water footprint? How is our lifestyle footprint? Thank you.
Daisy?
Mine is to say that the environment affects the economy. Most people are more interested in the economic fact. You should always remember that conservation of the environment gives you a better economic life and a better health life.
Oh, thank you so much, Daisy, for joining the show tonight, and I'm hoping to see you in subsequent shows on the Newsroom agenda. This man, Anthony Ngure, thank you so much, and continue being a good ambassador of the environment. Well, you've been watching the Newsroom agenda. This is the show that puts things in black and white, putting them, or rather saying them just the way they are. You've heard it there. The environment is a concern for all of us. Daisy says that it needs to start from the bottom of it all. It's not a thing for the grown-ups, but the entire society. Keep the conversation going on Twitter using the hashtag Let's Talk Environment, and also the SMS is your conversation. If you want to share with us via SMS, use the number at the top of your screen, and the Twitter handles remain at this man of Buya, capital T, capital M, capital O, at KTS Kenya, at Anthony Ngure G. Have a good night. See you again next week. This has been the Newsroom agenda. You're watching KTM.